For my essay, I had chosen whether abortion was more medically ethical. So, medical ethics, that's more of the limitations that guide healthcare workers in their day-to-day lives and what they do within their profession. Abortion, that's a medical procedure that is used to terminate pregnancy. And so, with this, I had used like a multitude of perspectives. I had used the perspective of like the fetus, it is a human being, meaning that abortion, it is not ethical in any situation. The belief of woman's autonomy, meaning that it is a woman's choice and it is nobody else's choice on what happens to her and her body. And then I had also chosen that under limited circumstances, abortion may be considered ethical. So there is the gold perspective of it, that in places such as Switzerland, their use in 2023, there was 7.3 abortions rated, but then in 2022, there was 7 abortions. So meaning that it's gradually going up. There's not a huge increase, but there still is an increase in this. And then there's also one that in Germany, you cannot get an abortion unless you went through, it's like a 3-day period, and whether like a physician deems like it necessary. And they do this just to limit the rates of abortion. Like they don't want people going and getting abortion out of like birth control as like a form of that, or just out of a way to get out of parenthood. So when they're saying that abortion is not ethical, there is the fact of like half of all women getting abortions reported that contraception was used during the month. And this implies a question of, are they now using that abortion as a term of birth control, or is it like, okay, like I really just don't want kids? Like it just raises that question to where you don't really understand where they're coming from ethically. And then there's also like there's a quote, and it's from Dr. Stephen McCurdy, is that the fetus is a unique human life. And with that would mean like that would just make it unethical in the sense that you're terminating a life, and physicians and doctors, they have this responsibility to take care of their patients and their well-being, which in this causes an ethical dilemma because you are taking a life. Then there's also a quote from Stanford that says the fetus is a person. All persons have a right to life. Therefore, the fetus has a right to life. It is morally wrong to kill something that has a right to life. Abortion kills the fetus, therefore abortion is morally wrong. So with this, it's saying that that fetus inside you, it has any rights that you do. It is a citizen, and it is not right to kill that because like it'll be unethical in that way. And then there's also another quote from Stanford that says a pregnant woman who has consensual sex is responsible for the fetus's dependence on her body. If you are responsible for someone's dependence on something of yours, then it is morally wrong to deprive them of that thing. Therefore, abortion is morally wrong. So when a woman chooses to have sex, it is then her consequence. Every action has consequences, and the consequence to sex is pregnancy. And so with that, terminating that pregnancy would be an abdication of that responsibility that was deemed upon her by her own actions. But then there's also the fact that people view abortion, they can view it as morally okay. And so one thing is that there is like the Declaration of Independence, which nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property. And with that, that means that it is their choice. It's their choice. There cannot have any prejudice against it. It is fully within their choice to choose that. But then there's also patients' rights, which are viewed as human rights. And if the rights for a person to make choices regarding their own life is taken away, then it is viewed now as a privilege, not a right anymore. And then there's also that doctors, they are held accountable for respect for patient autonomy. That means that if a person wants to get an abortion, then it's up to them. It is fully within their choice to do so because you know what, they have autonomy over their body and over their own choices, meaning that the doctor would have to do so, and it would be unethical in their situation to not give them one. But then there's also gray areas, which there's like a disease called anencephaly. And with that, that's when like part of the baby's brain and like skull is not developed. So then it's a death sentence. The baby cannot survive that. And so with that, I feel like it should be the woman's choice on whether she wants to carry a stillborn baby or whether she wants to have an abortion for medical reasons. Or there's also the case of rape, into where, within a case like this, there's the ethical dilemma. So the woman did not choose to have sex, nor was it her choice to have a pregnancy, meaning that it is fully within her rights to have an abortion.